On day 13 of the trial, the prosecution's first witness faced a lengthy cross-examination by Bryan's attorney, Lloyd McFarlane. Mr. McFarlane noted the witness signed a police statement on January 25 last year, but did so under a different name. Mr. McFarlane also asked the witness what happened to his charge for being in a criminal organization. According to the witness, that charge was dropped because he decided not to waste the court's time. He says he wanted to help Jamaica and others by helping the police get those killers off the street. But according to McFarlane, the witness was only thinking about saving himself. Mr. McFarlane said, quote, "But you're a killer. You're on the street." The witness replied by saying, quote, "I was on bail, sir." Mr. McFarlane also asked the witness why he left out several details from the police statement, details he had outlined in court. According to the witness, he was nervous when he was speaking to the police as it was his first time. He also said time was running out. But Mr. McFarlane noted that the witness gave the statement to the police over the course of 3 days. He said, quote, "I'm putting it to you that all the incidents you've outlined are lies." But the witness replied saying, quote, "I'm telling the truth, sir. I just went in details and tell exactly what happened."
On day 14 of the Klansman gang trial, the prosecution's first witness faced questions about the discrepancies between the statements he gave to the police in January last year and the evidence he's presented in the court. According to the witness, he was scared while giving the statement to the police. He says he was scared because, as he puts it, quote, "This gang I'm in is very dangerous and giving a statement could cost me my life," end quote. He says while he was in police custody, he heard the gang members planning to murder a policewoman. He says he decided then that he didn't want to be a part of the gang anymore. The witness says he then reached out to the police to tell them about the gang and their plans. He says while he was giving the statement to the police, he considered several things, including his safety, his family's safety, and his children. The witness told the court, "This gang go everywhere and kill people. I know it's a possibility I'll be murdered after this. My family is always going to be in danger," end quote. He says now that the information about the gang is public knowledge and they know he's giving evidence against them, he's now willing to go into full details about their crime.
Witness says he first met Bryan when Biggs asked him to pick him up at Megamart on Waterloo Road. He says he told Biggs he'd do the pickup once they bought him gas. He says he left work and used his personal motor vehicle to do the pickup. The witness says he parked at Megamart and Bryan came from another vehicle and into his car. He says Biggs turned to him and said, "Ada G this." The witness says he asked G, and he says Biggs replied by saying, "Yes, Blackman." He says he's heard the name before, but that was his first encounter with Bryan. The witness says he was asked to take Bryan to his house so he could freshen up. The witness says he heard Bryan cursing, saying, "Top man like me and a that them put in the bag for me wear." He says he gave Bryan something to wear. He says he was then asked to pick up 2 ladies on Jones Avenue and drop them to a party in that community. According to the witness, Bryan started calling him every day after that encounter to transport him from Jones Avenue to Megamart. He says he would pick him up in Jones Avenue, drop him at Megamart, and then the same vehicle he'd come out of on the first encounter would pick him up and take him home. But according to the witness, about a month later, when they became close, he would have to transport Bryan straight to his home on Shortwood Road. The witness says Bryan gave him strict orders to, quote, "Every evening after I left work, me have to damn foot and don't even have to make him call me." The witness says the last time he saw Bryan was the night before he went to jail in 2018. Defense attorney representing Tariq James and Rivalda Hilton, Esther Reed, suggested to the witness that he was lying to the court about her client's involvement in the criminal organization. She pointed to the dock where the accused sit and asked the witness if he preferred to be there or where he currently sits. She asked the witness if he enjoyed the benefits of the state's protection now that he's assisting the prosecution. but according to the witness, he's enjoying no benefits. Andre Bryan stared intensely at the witness as the attorney asked him that question, then hung his head low after the witness answered. The attorney questioned why the witness never came forward with evidence against the gang before now, but he replied by saying, "This gang have some powerful people, powerful entertainers. I didn't know who to talk to." He also told the court he was forced by Andre Bryan to be a member of the gang. Alexander Shaw, the attorney representing Stephanie Christie, Andre Golding, and Andre Smith, also asked the witness why he didn't give a statement to the police earlier than January of last year. The attorney noted the witness was behind bars for gang-related charges from as early as 2019, but according to the witness, he was not going to give a statement and he had not made up his mind. 32 men and 1 woman are standing trial for multiple offenses under the anti-gang legislation. Among them is alleged leader of the One Don faction of the Klansman gang, Andre Bryan, aka Blackman.
The witness was overcome with emotion when the prosecution started asking him about one of the accused this morning. He revealed that the accused was his best friend from childhood and they remained close as adults. The witness started hanging his head low and wiping tears from his eyes. As he did so, soft mutters could be heard among some of the accused saying, "Him a cry and him a tell lie. Top cry." He told the court he knew the accused man's parents, siblings, and other relatives. He says they would visit each other's house very often. According to the witness, they went to primary and high school together and were often in the same classes. He says as adults and members of the gang, they remained close. But the witness says they rarely spoke about criminality nor the dealings of the gang. Instead, the witness says the accused would, quote, "always a beg my money and say my sickness of mine and him broke." As the prosecution asked the witness to point out the accused in the court, the witness hung his head low, hesitantly identified the man he said was his childhood friend.
Gangsters. According to the witness, Bryan appointed him Don of Lauriston because of the respect he had for him. But he says before that, he told Bryan that life was not for him because he, the witness, was married. He says Bryan said the only way out was the prison or the graveyard. He says as the Don of the community, he had to answer to Bryan about anything that happened in the area. According to the witness, he and another gangster he called Citypus were second in command of the gang. He says Bryan had declared in the presence of the other gangsters that if he, the witness, had given any command, they should follow without calling Bryan. He says he's never met the man he called Citypus, but only spoke with him on the phone. He says they would speak on the phone for hours every night in 2019 and would merge the calls with Bryan and other gang members. When asked what they spoke about, the witness said, "Violence, nothing but violence. Citypus always have smaddy way more for dead." The witness says he only got orders from Bryan and Citypus, but he says he never took Citypus's orders because he's evil. The witness also told the court an area in Waterloo Lane in Spanish Town was what he called the court where gang members who violated were dealt with. He says any gang member whose name was being called for causing trouble to the criminal organization, they would be taken to that location. He says there would be a vote among the gangsters, and if they unanimously voted against the violating gangster, he would be beaten up and murdered. He says Bryan reserved the final call on what's to be done with the violating gang members.
On day 16 of the Klansman gang trial, the prosecution's second witness told the court he was also a member of the gang. The witness says growing up in the communities in and around Spanish Town, it was all about clans. He says those gangsters were the judge, the prosecution, the lawyers, and the police. He says no one dared call the police if anything happened in those communities. The witness says eventually he became a part of the gang, murdering, extorting, and robbing people. But he says he decided in 2017 he wanted to put a stop to the gang. He says he went online and found a number for the police commissioner's office and placed a call. He says he explained he wanted to give information about the gang and was directed to do so at the Criminal Investigation Bureau, CIB, headquarters. The witness says he drove there, went inside, but turned back. When asked why, he explained he was fearful for his life because, as he said, quote, "I know Blackman have top-tier police who have rank and can give him suitable information, and I don't know them face." He says he once approached a policeman he'd heard the gangsters plotting to kill because he felt that officer was one he could trust. The witness says he explained to the officer he wanted to give a statement about the gang. He says the policeman instructed him to go to the CIB headquarters. He says in November 2018 he finally gave a statement to the police about the gang.